I've become an avid voter in the FocusSh0ck Joker polls recently, and in my few hundred hours of Balatro, I've grown attached to some Jokers, grown resentment for others, and changed my mind on a few. In these polls, the voter is given 4 randomly selected, stickerless and editionless Jokers to hypothetically start a run with a deck of the voter's choice, to win an unseeded, gold stake game of Balatro for $100. I've commented on some myself, but I looked back at every single poll to click the hydrogen bomb versus 3 coughing babies, or make a hard decision as if $100 actually were on the line. It quickly became addictive, and I thought to myself, man, if only there were a way to give my thoughts on my choice of deck and Joker, which is why I will yap about every single Joker poll so far. Some polls have a clear winner, some Jokers repeat, so not all polls will have the same screen time, and also I'm going to flesh out my ideas throughout the video so it isn't all front-loaded. And maybe the polls that have more dedicated yapping will help win some gold stake runs. Also, I'm recording this intro with a new mic that I got, but the first, I think, 100 of these polls will be with my old headset mic, so hopefully the change in how I sound isn't too jarring, but onto the polls!
The first polls didn't have the conditions of a $100 prize, gold stake difficulty, and any deck. I'm still choosing one based on the stipulated rules I gave, but I mention this for the sake of other voters of the polls. I chose baseball card because Glass Joker depends on a specific set of cards to work. I cannot trust to get much superposition value, and Ramen is best for mid to late game pair swap. Superposition isn't a bad choice on Abandoned or Painted deck, both very strong decks, but I can more reliably win with Yellow and Blue deck, which will be my choice for most of the polls. Given that the run would start with Baseball card, I would probably choose Yellow deck just because it's easier to buy uncommons. This was a difficult decision, one which I don't know whether I was right on, but I chose Abstract Joker. The Tribe's a decent Joker in the early game and the occasional flush run, and a safe source of score on Checkered deck, but that's an exceedingly mid deck. Steel Joker is decent, but requires a lot of steel cards, which is not an enhancement I gravitate toward. DNA was the most popular choice, which makes sense without the stipulation of making a choice to win. But I did not choose DNA because it needs strong playing cards to be viable. It's usually bait. Abstract Joker is guaranteed early survivability, and in turn, econ. I would choose Yellow deck with Abstract. This one took some thought. Madness is something I always take for the fun of it, and it can be very powerful, but I wouldn't bet $100 with it between the 4 Jokers. Burglar plays into the pair slot meta very well, but its early game strength is limited. Smiley Face makes the early game easy enough to do blindfolded, but its mult is not much in the mid to late game. Wii Joker is viable throughout all antes and is generally the fastest scaling chip Joker, especially with Abandoned deck. Immediate deck thinning is obvious for a synergy with Wii Joker, but Abandoned deck also gives the opportunity for a 4-of-a-kind pivot and makes finding blue and purple seals easier, should they show up. There's also the Plasma deck Wii Joker synergy, but a chips only run on purple stake and beyond is riskier than I would like. That being said, Wii Joker scales quickly enough to make chips only on Plasma deck fairly easy on gold stake, due to its immunity to boss blinds unlike other chip Jokers that trivialize Plasma deck. I chose Reserve Parking with Blue deck because I simply cannot pass up on the amount of money it provides with Blue deck. Bull on Plasma deck may be an instant win for me at this point, but I don't trust my ability to win on it. But the more I play Bull runs, the more I'm convinced it is an instant win. But as for Gold deck, it would provide a lot of chips, but decent mold costs money. The econ from Reserve Parking gives more flexibility to the run. The order is tragically underrated, but I do not trust straights without shortcut. I don't have much to say about Credit Card. Troubadour is a situational Joker because it conflicts with the pair slot meta and hurts the early econ due to having fewer hands. Burger is the exact opposite, but is largely speculative still. Blue Joker is guaranteed early score, but its chips do not really scale, especially when thinning the deck is the goal until Hologram shows up. Stone Joker is a lot of fun with the Marble Joker, but I only use the tower for tricky boss blinds or when Blackboard won't cooperate. I would choose Yellow deck with Burglar. Burnt Joker is, in my opinion, the top 3 starting Jokers out of all 150. It plays extremely well with the pair slot meta, covers mult and chips, saves money on Celestial packs, and getting it round 1 provides a starting score that makes pairs safe in ante 2. There's also the possibility of discarding straights with Painted deck, but that requires a level of trust in straight draws that I do not have. Gros Michel is nice. It gives early score, you can get Cavendish, but I wouldn't want to lose my banana before the NT2 boss blind. This one may come as a surprise after my straight slander, but the order gives enough X-Malt to carry the early game. To-do list is decent econ and gives money before interest is calculated, but I can't count on it for its reliance on RNG, both for the list's hand type and drawing the right hands. Lusty is decent early game scoring, but the order has the late potential that Lusty lacks. Deck choice was difficult, but I would choose Painted Deck. Abandoned Deck is difficult to run straights because I've found myself running out of cards too quickly, but that's probably a personal skill issue. This one was a tough choice. Runner is a decent chip generator that, ironically, plays well into the pair slot meta, which all roads lead to. Stuntman gives enough chips to carry the early and mid game, while playing decently at the end of Ante 8. And the family gives 4x malt for hands that give 3+ per planet, with Abandoned or Painted Deck. But I had to choose Rebate because it can regularly give $10 per round. This Joker has plenty of deck synergies, but I would choose Blue Deck for its individual strength. Anything else reeks of avarice. And I was considering Painted and Abandoned Deck for this. Fibonacci is really good in the first half of the game, and that's all the credit I can give, because it needs re-triggers and large hands to compete with Green Joker, who still solos. Marble Joker's fun, but it bloats the deck too much. I have really warmed up on Rough Gem over the year I've played Balatro. I used to ignore it because I wrongfully chose Hearts as my suit. When I discovered the pair meta, I disregarded Rough Gem as a filthy flush Joker, but I realized its true power when not playing toward flushes. Rough Gem, unlike the other suit Jokers, works really well when playing any hand. Compared to Business Card, Rough Gem gives guaranteed money, and there are more diamonds in a deck of cards than face cards, especially on Abandoned Deck. I suggest picking it up more regardless of which hand you end up playing with. Also, I would choose Blue Deck. I hate having to choose between good Jokers, but these are the pulls that keep me hooked. Vagabond can be awkward, but it's just too strong and versatile, especially early in the game with Blue Deck. Golden Ticket is nice because I consider gold cards the best enhancement, but it is most powerful when there's an abundance of them, which isn't guaranteed. Flash Card can theoretically scale the fastest, but it's among the worst plus mult Jokers going mult per dollar. Rough Gem is worthy of an early Eternal take, but it just can't keep up with Vagabussy. Hanging Chat is simply overpowered. I could explain it in greater detail, but it deserves its own video. It gives chips in the early game and is incredibly versatile with econ and scoring Jokers, enhancements, and yellow seals. Luchador provides safety and is something I keep when I find it under most circumstances, even if I have a director's cut, but it doesn't guarantee a safe early game. Delayed gratification gives gold Joker money while forcing the player to waste hands, especially in the first antes when discards are needed most. I'll go with Yellow Deck to look for synergies. This pull made me realize that Rough Gem went from my least favorite suit Joker to my favorite, usurping my former favorite, Arrowhead. Arrowhead provides the chips that flush leveling lacks, works with Checkered Deck, and gives enough score to win a chips-only plasma run. But Rough Gem is just very versatile, and econ is everything. Can we stop pretending that Bloodstone isn't ass? Even with Checkered Deck, you're relying on RNG to win, and the rare 5-for-5 still gives less to mult than Photo Chat. Getting a non-perishable Oops All Sixes is its own gamble too. I concede that it is fun, so I get why people chose it, because the poll didn't have the betting $100 condition. Splash isn't that bad, but it's not worth a speculative pick to be sure. Shoot the Moon isn't bad, but it gets severe diminishing returns, and I can't rely on it. I just don't really like Jokers that rely on getting one specific card, like... what's it called? The one where you off your jacks. The jacking off one. The, Hit the Road, that's it. And Scholar too, I don't like that one. But either way, Golden Joker isn't very spectacular, but I really like money. And I'll take Blue Deck with it because money's already covered. Juggler is better as an accessory to gold cards, seals, and rebate. Smeared Joker doesn't matter because flush builds aren't that good. I already gave my thoughts on Shoot the Moon, and Burglar's a source of score and econ. Yellow this time, I don't think Blue Deck's extra hand will matter too much. Four Fingers is severely mogged by Shortcut and can't make straights reliable. Reserve parking is fine, but hanging Chad is hanging Chad. I should probably elaborate why it's too powerful in its own video. Subscribe if you want to see that rant. Also, I'm picking yellow deck. Hand size is helpful with consistent draws, but Juggler is underwhelming without card modifiers. Devious Joker doesn't give many chips considering how many a straight already gives, especially when straights can't be spammed. Hallucination is a nice bonus to opening packs and counts as tarot blocking when opening Arcana packs. It's consistently useful throughout the run. Play with yellow deck and there's a lot of potential, and cards can be immediately helpful, like bonus cards and mult cards in a pinch. Gros Michel makes the first anti-save, saves hands for Econ, and gives the chance for Cavendish. Its extinction averages out at 2 full antis worth of rounds, but it's still important to play around Gros Michel as if it will break the next round. So I would pick yellow deck so I can look for another source of score, in case it goes extinct at a bad time. Bean is also really good, but it's best used after finding blue seals and gold cards, or against certain boss blinds like the Manacle or the Water. Oh my god, it's Yorick! It's the GOAT! There were other good picks, but it gives so much mold, even considering Canio, and it does so more reliably. I would choose red deck, not as much for its scaling, but mostly to get it online early, especially when you often have to find larger hands in Antes 1 and 2. Reckless discards so early in the game could end the run quickly. Having 3 discards means that Yorick can theoretically start providing X-Malt at round 2. Rocket gives a lot of money, but Yorick is so strong that it's all the X-Malt you need. Plus it has good temperance value. Gives so much score that it doesn't need the safety of Mr. Bones, but please don't throw a Yorick runaway. Midas Mask's money generation cannot be understated, and it has plenty of synergies, but you can't count on finding jokers that complement each other. Not that it's bad alone, I'd take it as an eternal rental. Yorick goes up in the top 3 best hypothetical round 1 jokers starts. Out of these 4, Campfire is easily the strongest. It gives an ungodly amount of malt in the final antes and is easily worth several blind skips if it's perishable. I adore Campfire. However, I chose the Tribe because flushes are the strongest hand type until it turns into a pair build, and all roads lead to pair slop. Jolly Joker is an early carry, but winning with pairs too quickly ironically gets in the way of pair spam builds like with Spare Trousers or Grimbo. The Tribe can serve as a win in case of emergency button after spamming 3 hands. Odd Todd gives decent chips, but I like the idea of a safe first few antes, and I'll take yellow deck for some Jupiters and a way out of playing flushes. Looks like I'm in the minority with this one, but Ceremonial Dagger gives a lot of plus malt, and the Guaranteed Buffoon pack of the first shop takes care of the early game. I know I made an entire video to hate on Ceremonial Dagger, but it's grown on me for its uniqueness, and it's objectively strong. I'm choosing yellow deck because the dagger will be the cornerstone of the build, and it gains power from the shop rather than played hands. Green deck is technically an econ deck, but it really sucks, so I'm not taking that one ever. Throwback isn't worth my consideration. Seeing Double is decent mid to late game with pair and 2 pair, also gives wild cards a purpose. And Photograph gives decent early score, but it isn't the independently strong Joker in the PhotoChad combo. PhotoChad's strength rests in its versatility with hand types, and Photograph needs large hands to give decent score without planet cards. Also, face cards have far more practical uses with econ generation than score, because the planet setting back at a run's economy is way better than outright killing the run. Rocket with blue deck was an easy choice here. Hack needs large hands to be better than Hanging Chad, has no immediate use, and Hanging Chad can pick any card. Showman removes the ability to block tarots and planets, and Steel Joker needs an abundance of 1 enhancement to work, especially when I prefer gold cards. Mail-in Rebate was such an easy choice here, especially given the competition. It's up there with Trading Card, Midas Mask, and I would even take it over a round 1 Rocket. Red deck helps sift through other cards and increases the upper limit of Mail-in Rebate's value, but blue deck sifts through cards while scoring. Rebate is already stupidly powerful with 2 discards. And there are more scaling jokers that interact with hands than discards, because money doesn't really matter much when you're going to lose, and I tend to do that more often than I would like. I understand picking Invisible Joker as a first Joker because it's the most fun, but playing by the arbitrary rules, I'll take Rocket with blue deck. Invisible needs a good Joker to work, but starting a run with it means that there's less randomness on which Joker Invisible becomes, unlike later in the run when you have a full Joker roster. This was a tough pick between Golden Joker and Sixth Sense, but I prefer Cold Hard Cash. Also blue deck. All hail Rebate! I'm not sure where in the top 10 rebate would go in my starting Joker list, but it's definitely somewhere there, and on the higher end. Pareidolia really isn't that good, but I explained it in better detail in my Synergy video. I don't like Hit the Road because of the lack of discards, and how most face card interactions rely on keeping them in hand, playing them, or in Kanyo's case, removing them outright. Obelisk is a fine scaling Joker that makes the run a cakewalk under the right conditions. Most runs involve spamming pairs, so Obelisk usually doesn't fall off on the X-Ball cliff on or before Ante-8. The main problem with it is just when it shows up on runs that need chips from Mercury scaling, in which case a new scoring engine must be found if other hands aren't viable yet. If it weren't for this specific problem, Obelisk would be completely broken, and it really is the GOAT, no bias. Blue deck for extra hands. Shigihara, my beloved. Balatro forces you to be paranoid about running into the wrong boss blind, so Shigihara makes the game a simple matter of, can you score enough? Secondly, Temperance value is a genuine boon to the run. This probably sounds like cope to the doubters, but $10 of Temperance value is halfway to matching the Hermit, and it works with Vagabond and Green deck, unlike the Hermit. The other Jokers have their uses, but their value is situational and, in Sixth Sense's case, RNG dependent. As for my deck of choice, blue deck because the remaining limiting factor is score. I'm not taking negative Acrobat just because it's shiny. Acrobat is already good enough because for one, 3x mult is 3x mult. Secondly, the mult triggers at a time that is easy to manipulate, so you can get the most out of play hands, be it Grimbo scaling, searching for seals, or praying for lucky cards to trigger. It sets a controllable win condition. Yellow deck because the extra hand is awkward to work with blue deck. Acrobat synergizes with black deck, but 7 Joker slots is biblical levels of greed. And also -1 hand is still pretty terrible for scaling. I prefer Yorick over Kanyo, but Kanyo still scales really quickly. This is the only Joker in the list that guarantees a strong run. At least out of these 4. For once I'd rather use Ghost deck for the easy hex target, and unlike last Joker, Spectral Sniping actually works with Kanyo. Plus Familiar can give you face cards. Flashcard is in this poll, yet Bloodstone is still the worst out of all 4. Obviously I'm taking Midas Mask, and I think I'll take blue deck with it. Also, I would probably blow a fuse if I saw Bloodstone with more votes than Midas Mask. I don't dislike Meheriandi, but it's better when playing towards large hands like straights, or pairs when looking for specific seals and some enhancements. Blue Joker offers immediate value and more consistency than Ice Cream. And Golden Ticket requires gold cards to get any use, even if gold cards remain supreme over the other enhancements. I'll take Yellow deck. Problem with Blue deck in this situation is because it gets weaker as the hands go on, even if Blue Joker probably wouldn't be a permanent stay. I'm so glad to see Bloodstone lose to a Joker that doesn't suck ass. Marble Joker's fun, but it would be much more interesting and independently strong if it placed the stone card in hand. Smiley Face's decent starting mult, but Rough Gem's money can take a run to Ante-8. Rough Gem Alarm, with blue deck. Gluttonous Joker might be a better pick because it stays consistently mid, but chips are harder to find. Troubadour is trash on its own. Driver's License might also be the correct pick with Hex deck, but I'm playing it safe with Ice Cream and Yellow deck. It might be underrating Driver's License in these polls because of my disappointment when I realized how much harder it is to get online as the stakes increase. Plus, I'm a big fan of Vampire, and I don't want anything getting in the way of it. Why are so many people choosing Popcorn? The high starting score doesn't matter much on Ante-1, especially with Summit's guaranteed plus 50 in mult that, like Acrobat, can be manipulated when you're ready to play a winning hand. I choose Summit over Droll because of the pair meta and higher score. Yellow deck. I understand picking Gros Michel, but it's too unpredictable for a run I'd put money on. Ceremonial Dagger goes too well with Yellow deck, but I've already explained that. Raised Fist is a Joker I've learned to use with knowledge of the small hand meta, but it just doesn't compare to the scaling speed of Dagger. Yellow deck again. Why choose the trio over practically unconditional X-Mult? Like, Cavendish isn't gonna break. The trio is fine for 4-of-a-kind runs, and that's about it. Even then it gets outclassed by the family, but you don't really choose what's in the shop. Flashcard doesn't even give a strong start with Yellow deck because $5 for 2 mult is a big expense when trying to reach the interest cap. Also, plus malt is far easier to find than Cav's 3x malt. Yellow deck, because it's yellow. Spare Trousers gets plus malt really easily with Abandon deck, and it's good for a pair build despite it being scaled from 2 pair. But Yorick is Yorick, so I'm taking that with red deck. Welcome back, Spare Trousers. Photograph is really mid without retriggers and is very boss blind prone, unlike Spare Trousers, the obvious pick for me. Acrobat is really good, but it doesn't provide much early score or a base setup of score, and Spare Trousers scales quickly, especially when you pick Abandoned deck for its immediate deck thinning. And with the lack of face cards, the high chip count in the early antes doesn't really make you win too quickly, so getting the pants to scale is far easier for that factor as well. We've reached the Miku number. I love a good Madness run, but Brainstorm is incredibly versatile, albeit purely speculative. Yellow deck because it's good, and even the weakest forms of scoring can work with Brainstorm. Constellation is really good with the money of Yellow deck or Fools of Magic deck. It might be the right decision. Onyx Agate gives quick, immediate mult, so I understand the choice, but it doesn't score much without flushes, which are rarely the right hand. Card Sharp is far cheaper than Constellation and quickly cements a strong pair run. Blue deck. That being said, I wouldn't play around it in the first ante. Hologram is one of the best jokers in the game, full stop. I'm taking Hex deck this time for immediate X-Malt on Spectrals that graduate Hologram from goated without any synergies to being on par with legendary jokers. Greedy Joker and Walkie Talkie are really only good for the first couple of antes. Four Fingers is severely overshadowed by Shortcut. Egg is the only Joker I'd consider generally good, and it's even worth taking as an Eternal, because you're bound to find $50 temperances. Like, I'm not joking. Believe in the Eternal Egg Gambit. Blue deck. Mime is really good, and I hate to reject it, but FocusSh0ck is a director's cut that gives money rather than costs money. I'll take blue deck because I really only need to worry about score at that point. Trading Card is a top-tier Joker. It gives money and deck thinning at the same time. It only gives a maximum of $3 per round, but it's before interest is calculated and deck thinning is invaluable. Blue deck. I don't like the 50-50 chance of getting a Tarot, but Hallucination is really good over time. I almost considered Hiker as a pick, but then I realized it's really only good for Plasma deck, and with Hanging Chad. But then I realized Hallucination is actually good, so I'm taking that with Yellow deck. This was a tough pick. Mine is absolutely worth a speculative take, but I don't know if it beats the instant and voluminous stacks of bills from Business Card. Raised Fist lasts longer in a run than I used to think, but I just can't pass up on the money with Business Card and Blue deck. I know that Stencil is usually for meme runs where you stack them, but it's oddly strong in the first rounds for an X-Malt Joker. The other three Jokers are really good too, but Stencil has both immediate strength and potential. I'm following the Siren Song of Ghost deck because the immediate 7.5 X-Malt is too much not to take. Plus, Spectrals are good value generators, and please give me Ankh. My next pick would be Obelisk with Blue deck. Starting with Obelisk means you can plan around the chip side of scoring without putting too many levels in one hand. Obelisk would take a lot of prep. I usually give it until ante 4 or 5, but sometimes I can get it earlier. I was tempted by every one of these Jokers, but Red Card is just the best plus malt Joker, especially paired with Yellow deck. Space Joker on average is more than 1 malt and 15 chips, assuming pair spam on Blue deck, but Spaceman can be a very sleepy guy. Card Sharp is very easy X-Malt, but who needs that when you have Red Card? Supernova is decent, but it's prone to the Ox and the Eye, whereas Red Card is less prone to boss blinds. A first round castle may be the correct play here, and I would probably choose Blue deck with it to filter out through suits and other perks of a hand despite the red deck synergy. But Blackboard is just so good. Shoot the Moon isn't bad, but I don't trust it. I'd take Yellow deck to find some plus mult and deck thinning. We have 3 good Jokers, and then we have Misprint. Astronomer is usually something I skip because of its $8 price tag, but it's something I'm happy to see in a Buffoon pack. Egg is, of course, a good break in case of emergency button, and it's even better for its temperance value. But I want guaranteed X-Malt. Blue deck. Runner isn't bad by any means, it's really good, especially on a shortcut chip run on Plasma deck. But on every other deck, it stops scaling in most runs past a certain point of deck bloat or thinning. Gros Michel trivializes the early game, and I would take yellow deck for the better Cavendish chance and to find a secondary source of score in case my banana shies away. Correction, I meant better chance of finding the Cavendish, not a better chance of it going extinct. Getting a sense of deja vu here. FocusSh0ck and Buskin is too speculative and is better for fun high rolls. The yellow duo wins again. Fortune Teller scales so slowly, but it's sometimes nice for its retroactivity and synergy with Vagabond. I never really play runs affected by the trio, except for 4 of a kind on a gold stake run. Mystic Summit with yellow deck for the win. Gift card is just really good. Reserve parking is nice too, but getting a $50 temperance changes you. Yellow deck to find more jokers and consumables. All 4 jokers are really good. Blue deck with rebates econ, though, is exceptional. More so than Supernova's Mole, Cartomancer's Utility, and even Cardsharp's X-Mole. This isn't my bias speaking, but I'm absolutely taking Space Joker out of everything else. Pair Span with blue deck's 5 hands averages out to a respectable base score, even if it's not going to mean much on Ante-1 due to the need for larger hands. The others have little late game potential, and Paradolia doesn't even have early game use without other jokers. Once again, red card is the GOAT and is somehow even better with yellow deck.
So I'm editing this at 1:30 in the morning because I have no life. I just realized I skipped poll 57. It's red card, card sharp, astronomer, and 2 pair. Obviously I'm taking red card because I took it over card sharp before, and it does not compare to astronomer. And I'm not a big fan of Jolly Joker compared to these other 3. Not that Jolly Joker is bad, it's pretty good. At least it's good for what it is. Alright, I'm on to the next. I'm gonna go to bed.
I don't like the idea of forcing straights for score. The near unanimous praise for Egg in this poll is justified. Half Joker is strong enough to last for the first half of the game, but Blackboard is strong early, and albeit to a lesser extent, but it also consistently is strong in every ante. Blue deck can filter through hearts and diamonds while giving us some chips on the side. I thought Blueprint showed up earlier, but I guess I was thinking of all the brainstorms. It's purely speculative, but Blueprint is better than Brainstorm because it can more easily copy X-Mold after the Plus Mold Joker. Constellation is nice, but it's expensive enough to also be a largely speculative pick. And if I'm taking a Joker purely for speculation, Blueprint will always win. Yellow deck to find a compatible Joker.
If I sound any different, it's because I'm recording on my phone. My stupid-ass computer won't detect my input of my headset's mic. But anyway, on to the poll. We are Charlie Perk! Perkio slander has gotten me a lot of traffic on YouTube and TikTok, but I'm picking it. Its good econ on Magic Deck, and its versatility and money from negative consumables alone justifies its spot as a legendary. The synergy is worth the cost of Yellow Deck's immediate money and Blue Deck's extra hand. Ghost Deck is another contender, but Magic Deck helps with getting lots of Temperances or Mercuries over Spectrals, because stacking, say, Cryptid takes a lot of setup and is more of an an-inf strat. Bloodstone is ass as always. Spare Trousers is highly tempting, but it's in a saturated market of plus malt scaling, and I'm not taking Gluttonous Joker over Perkio. Finally, I can take mine. The others are exceedingly mid, you get the idea. The poll read poll 62 on this one as well, so I'm not sure how to list it otherwise. Beat is a fine Joker, but it needs gold enhancements and blue seals to really work. It's not going to do much with it being perishable as well. Card Sharp on blue deck is an easy take for me. Space Joker's a really good start, but we're looking for consistent strength. And what better source of consistency is there than Shigihara with blue deck? It saves on the cost of boss reroll vouchers, saves runs from an early wall, and it's easier to high roll for fun, knowing that the only challenges are econ and score. These jokers are all a strong start, or at least good potential, but the day I stop glazing Vagabond is the day I die. You even start with enough money just to reach the Vagabond threshold. It's like it was meant to be. Blue deck for obvious reasons. This poll had the whole $100 gold stake rule, so I have no idea why anyone would choose such a worthless Joker. Bloodstone is only good when paired with Oops, and even then it needs all 5 cards to be hearts, And it needs re-triggers as well, just to beat Photo Chad, 2 common jokers. It's such a joke. I hate Bloodstone. Why does anyone pick it in Gold Stake? God. Anyway, people who picked Certificate definitely Balatro, but I chose Jimbo on blue deck for consistent scoring. Certificate is probably better because seals win runs easily, and because they're instantly placed on the hand, you don't need to fish for a purple or blue seal. I don't like Gold Seal as much as the other two, but it's an easy $3 since it's placed at the top of the hand. And I don't really care for Red Seal on a spammy run like a Certificate run, but it's there, and I guess it contributes to Hologram if you get it. You guys are really sleeping on Vampire. Satellite just doesn't get picked often because taking a small selection of planet cards is the meta. Getting one as the starting Joker, however, allows you to adapt accordingly, but Vampire is just too good of an X-Malt engine, especially with yellow deck. Burglar is a very good Joker, but it's more of a speculative pick, like Vampire, but I chose Vampire because it can be all the X-Malt you need. The problem with a starting Vampire is that enhancements like Bonus and Malt are often needed to make it past an early ante if scoring Jokers just don't show up. Thankfully, yellow deck helps with this obstacle. I really don't know if I'm right on this, so you can attack me in the comments as much as you would like. AAA is my least favorite Joker in terms of design because it's effectively idle but forces you to play 2 playing card types for easier use. But it's undeniably powerful, and 2-pair and 4-of-a-kind runs will easily meet the score requirements. You really don't need something like Flush House or Flush 5. The problem is just, it does take a bit of deck fixing, and, you know, the whole plant problem, that's a very scary thing that I hate. Plus it relies on a good planet level of score. Midas Mask, however, is very reliable, amazing econ, has powerful interactions, and won't lose to boss blinds. I may have a higher win rate with AAA, but I would pick the safe option if it were $100 on the line. Maybe I'm just a contrarian, maybe I just want the money from Midas Mask, maybe it's the right decision, I really don't know. But I'll take blue deck for the extra hands and because money would already be sorted out. I like Hallucination, I like it a lot, but Cavendish is Cavendish. I'm gonna take yellow deck because bananas are yellow. This AAA pick was way easier. Take what I said on poll 67, apply it to this one, and take a Luchador if you find it. I'll take yellow deck to hopefully find something to avoid the plant. Supernova is probably the most vulnerable scaling plus malt Joker because it dies to the eye, and of course the Ox is really bad, but it's a strong basis of additive malt. Maybe Vampire is the correct choice, but it really does get in the way of early scoring and sometimes just doesn't get much value. Blue deck for extra scaling. I fully understand taking Ancient Joker here. It scores well enough to only need one hand with re-triggers and flush levels, and it actually makes flushes worthwhile on gold stakes sometimes. And most inexperienced players rely on flushes because of their early game prowess, so again, I really understand taking it. However, the duo is really consistent, albeit underwhelming. Ancient Joker is also really dangerous because of boss blinds, and I gave a more thorough explanation of it in the Synergy video. Blue deck to enable pair spam. The order doesn't enable straights, and having some kind of straight enabler is what's most important, but that 3x malt is so good when Saturn leveling already has you set up for base malt and chips. Driver's license is hand independent, but doesn't work early in the run. Sock and Buskin is better for high roller runs, and I'm not taking the bait. It's literally meat potential, man. I don't trust Glass and Joker no matter how quickly it can theoretically scale. Mystic Summit is guaranteed plus malt and safety. Yellow deck to find something with more longevity though. I usually associate Madness with meme runs, but I'm absolutely taking it here, even if money's on the line. If you get it at the very start, it's 2x malt by the time the first boss blind appears. The problem is getting enough chips and base malt. To get around this problem, I will choose Painted deck. The chances are that I won't need a 5th Joker slot anyway, and it enables larger hands for the early game, blue seals, and maybe even leveling up straights with the blue seals. Madness is hand agnostic, so it enables a variety of strategies despite the limited Joker roster. The other choices are sources of additive mult that I consider underwhelming, but they would still work if they're needed. Sometimes the Grimbo and red card just won't show up. I may be underestimating Castle here, but a starting Cloud 9 has a lot of potential. I usually delete 9s because they only interact with Odd Tot and Cloud 9, but for Cloud 9 to show up at the start, it changes everything. It's a golden joker by default, so it has potential while still being decent to begin with. Hex decks cryptids can give extra 9s along with other perks. I don't like misprint. There are so many other options for Mold, and you're giving more possibilities for the run to go wrong by taking it. I've already given my reasons for not liking Hit the Road, and it's far from an early game pick, too. Hack is Potential Man. Ancient Joker is strong beginning to end despite its weaknesses to so many boss blinds. I'll take Yellow Deck so I can find a way to counter boss blinds or maybe even pip it back to pair slop. I love Halfsies and Duo is consistent, but the blueprint is just too good. It feels like an act of contrarianism to undervalue blueprint just because it starts as a speculative pick. There are some jokers I would take over it as a start, like Burnt Joker or Yorick, but blueprint is still Balatro's best joker. Yellow Deck to find another joker that's compatible. Halfway done! I understand taking Fib for its immediate value, but Burger gives room to look for a winning hand while, unlike Discard, still giving chips on a throwaway hand. Also, extra hands is more money. It also has a lot of potential because so many interactions are just spamming hands to win more. Yellow Deck is my choice in compliance with the economic law of diminishing marginal returns. Do not criticize mail-in rebate. None of these choices are bad, but I picked Ice Cream. Really don't have much to say because I don't really care for Hiker. Stone Joker can be useful if enough are present. And Droll is nearly the same for me in its role in the early game as it is to Ice Cream. Yellow Deck. This poll kind of sets aside Astronomer's main weakness of its price tag. But the thing is that there's Shop and Celestial Pack RNG, but either way I'll take an Anti-1 Rocket over Astronomer because its econ is better at directly giving money and pays for packs and shop planets, better than Astronomer probably, especially getting it at Anti-1. Also Blue Deck. To the Moon doesn't give much in terms of money without seed money, but I'd take it over the rest. Space Joker's tempting, but I don't trust him enough given the stakes. Castle, maybe I am underrating it. Maybe I should take it, but I'm going with To the Moon. Yellow Deck gives us some interest to start with, and it quickly gets to the $25 interest cap. But I would try my best to prioritize not losing with my Dragon's Keep of money at Ante 2. Remember when I said I would take Yorick over Blueprint? Well, I'm taking Yorick here over these mid-jokers. Well, no, I kind of feel bad for saying that to driver's license. Either way. Red Deck for getting online early and fast scaling, but I already mentioned that the last time my boy Yorick was chosen. The trio needs a set of hands that are not the staple of most runs. Grimbo's reliable, scales quickly, makes the first antes safe, and it wasn't too much of an exaggeration to say that it's more legendary than Perkio. Blue Deck for more score and scaling. I love Grimbo, even if it's very repetitive. Is Rocket the best Joker out of these four choices? I would say no. That would be Hanging Chad. But Giga Chad is better in the sense that it has more use cases. Rocket is less likely to show up than Hanging Chad, so it has more immediate use, but that's not to neglect the chips that it gives in the first ante or two. But given the context of the first ante and the first round, I would take Rocket with Blue Deck. The same concept of being good versus better in this context applies with Rocket and Obelisk. Obelisk doesn't really deserve its historic slander and is generally better than Rocket. But I will take Blue Deck Rocket in the context of this poll because again, it's just a lot of cold hard cash. Obelisk is really good to start with because you can work around it, but I usually only take it when it shows up at a convenient time, which might not be guaranteed, as it'll really only get its use around Ante 4 or 5. Maybe a bit earlier, just given that it's a start. But either way, on to the next poll. Again, Obelisk may be the better choice here, but it's too much of a speculative pick for me to trustingly take it. Cloud9's econ is really strong, but I can't say no to ride the bus. I'm taking Abandon deck for its synergy, but also because the Abandon deck's main weakness is just because face cards give extra chips, and Ride the Bus nullifies that more or less. And what you're left with is safe scaling and a whole lot of deck fixing to start with. Burnt Joker probably goes right behind Yorick as my first pick for starting Jokers. I already explained its glory in greater detail, but I really can't think of a better top 3 than Yorick, Burnt Joker, and Blueprint as far as a starting Joker goes. The rest are pretty mid. DNA can be really good, but it's usually bait. Okay, I got a new microphone. Hopefully it sounds better than my headset microphone, and maybe better than my phone. But anyway, I don't like any of these Jokers, but I do value Dusk. Throwing away hands until finding the right finisher goes well with Econ, Blast cards, Stone cards, and maybe an Ancient Joker run. The problem is that Hanging Chad is just too good of a re-trigger Joker that it overshadows everything else. I'll take Yellow deck with Dusk, but taking the trio and selling it after finding something better may be the best choice. I love Grimbo, but that unconditional 3x malt is just too good. Yellow deck. Squimbo without the negative addition may still be the best choice for its steady scaling. The others are good, but Temperance value and not occupying Joker slots makes my decision even easier. Oh yeah, also Blue deck. I was torn between Vampire and Blackboard, but I'm taking Blackboard with Yellow deck. 3x mult is enough to win easily, it's a lot easier to trigger, and you can still use enhancements, which is really good for the early game. Look, it's a pair spam game. I'm gonna choose the duo with Blue deck. Let's just go to the next. Negative Arrowhead easily. It's temp value, it's free, it's a respectable amount of score, and it enables a flush run. I'd still take Yellow deck over Checkered, because I'll take the money over deck that gives the choice of spade flushes without much more to offer. Checkered deck still runs into pair slap a lot of the time, and getting Arrowhead value on any deck is easy. It's a matter of functionality over synergy. The rest of the Jokers aren't very interesting either. Another Coughing Baby versus Hydrogen Bomb situation. Brainstorm Yellow deck. We have 2 High Roller Jokers, one that I like but is risky, and one that I trust to win with, at least with Painted deck. Baron needs a lot of cards, and one type of it, re-triggers, and for the plant not to show up at a bad time. I don't like skipping Spaceman every time because he's a valuable asset that can be sold while keeping the score he gave. But I can't trust him if money were on the line. I'm clearly in the minority here, but I'm taking the order. Also, people really seem to underrate Painted deck just because it gives a little bit more Joker scarcity, but 4 isn't really a big deal when you know how to manage your roster. You a 2-pair because my trousers are really ramping up. I wish I could choose 2 here because of the synergy with Baseball card, but I'm going with the spare trousers. The pants give hand-based scaling that doesn't feel like spam and it scales quickly. Also, it's more resistant to boss blinds like the Eye, unlike Supernova. Baseball card is a very fine Joker, but it doesn't provide a steady run or immediate value. I'm going with Abandon deck because it makes 2-pair reliable while immediately thinning the deck. That being said, level up other hands than 2-pair so you can quickly scale and turn to a different hand to finish the round, be it pair slop again or a 4-of-a-kind gem. This would be a pretty difficult pick if Hologram weren't hands down the best non-legendary X-Malt Joker. Yellow deck is the obvious pick for me. Lucky Cat is fun because of Lucky Card's RNG and the ability for them to give money. It feels like a meme run Joker, but it's perfectly viable. Faceless gives a reasonable amount of money, and Gift Card is a top-tier Econ Joker. But Hologram is a top-tier Joker, period. I did the math. Matador triggers with 6 out of 8 anti-1 boss blinds, so I'm picking him with Blue deck. Ice Cream is decent, Mary Andy is situational, and Bloodstone thinks it's cool, but it's secretly deeply insecure. A very hollow existence. A trickster. The worst of the worst. Benjamin Netanyahu's right-hand man. In the triple digits now. Banner I can see getting the most use for the longest time, so I picked it. Diet Soda can be funny, especially with an investment tag, but that involves actually finding it. Yellow deck. Riff Raff is my #1 favorite Joker. It gives early score, decent Econ Jokers, and Econ from just selling them, Hanging Chad, and Photo Chad if you're even luckier. And it gives direction if you pull an early scaling Joker. This one was an easy pick. There's the Black deck synergy, but I'm not taking that, ever. Much less over Blue deck. Finally, I chose FocusSh0ck and Buskin. It's really not a bad Joker, and it gives chips at the very start. It has many interactions that its speculative value can easily be realized in a run. A run that hard commits to it isn't going to lose to the plant if it's used for Econ over score, which is the most likely path for my FocusSh0ck and Buskin. blue deck in the case of business card or golden ticket. This one is just coughing adults versus Zarbomba. I think we all know which one I'm choosing, along with which deck. I cannot glaze Yorick enough. Oh, look at that, another synergy in the 4 jokers. Reserve Parking Zekon is better than I gave it credit for after I started being more conscientious about my hand maximization. In Ante-1, it's easy to get a ton of money by spamming hands and playing 2-pair or full house of face cards at the last hand when score is needed, and especially powerful with blue deck. Mystic Summit is safe mult, but Reserve Parking gives so much money that the chance of not finding at least a Saturn is negligible. The commons here just get mogged by Onyx Agate's immediate score. I wouldn't use it long term because other jokers like Red Card, Grimbo, and Ceremonial Dagger give more mult over the span of a run and don't rely on flushes to win. Driver's License is too risky for me. Yellow deck. The speed of Wii Joker's scaling is absurd. A Hanging Chad alone, without playing many 2s, will still give over 1,000 chips. Unlike the other scaling chip jokers, Wii is still an easy take mid-game most of the time. I'd take Abandon deck because scoring 2s can be blocked by higher ranking cards, and playing larger hands is more viable on this deck. Supernova is nice, but plus mult is easier to find than chips. This one was a Clash of Titans. To the Moon is decent, but it's a quick elimination. Rough Gem usually gives more money and does so before the round ends for reaching interest thresholds, but I'd still take Wii or Hanging Chad. I consider Hanging Chad overpowered, more so than Wii Joker, but the difference is that Hanging Chad is more flexible, common, and cheap than Wii Joker. I chose Wii because it really does give an ungodly amount of chips. It may be an instant run on Plasma deck, but I'm just not experienced enough with that deck to say it definitively. So Abandoned deck it is. Cavendish and Yellow deck, because Cavendish is the only Joker that's also part of Heavy Weapons Guy's kit. Also, I looked it up, Gros Michel went extinct in the 50s. A Heavy Weapons Guy probably wouldn't have it during the gameplay of TF2. Anyway, Square Joker is a very consistent Joker, but it rarely exceeds triple score and is weak early on. I understand the argument for Runner, but I prefer the versatility of Cold Hard Cash, especially with how much a round 1 rocket gives. Blue deck. Card Sharp gives so much mult for such a small drawback, and it's so easy to work with pair slot. It's awkward in the early antes where flushes are more optimal, but it's otherwise really powerful throughout the run. Blue deck makes it easier to work with, though. Not sure why anyone would take Showman because he removes the ability to block cards. Once again, Ancient Joker is riskier than I would like, but it's easy enough to get a winning hand with it. There are at least some ways to get around the suit boss blinds and others that are difficult with the Joker, and I would take Yellow deck to find a few wild cards, some accessories, and maybe a way out of a flush build if it isn't going right. I feel like Driver's License has been showing up a lot, by the way. Negatives our own have a bonus, and 3 extra hands makes Bungler an easier pick. Were it not negative, I'd take Grimbo. Matador is a quick injection of money that is probable, but Burglar gives money and score. Castle is steady score, but it doesn't compare to the others. This is really just a contest between Arrowhead and Ride the Bus, and the bus wins with Abandoned deck. I like this Joker because it's less reliant on spam than Grimbo. Arrowhead isn't a good main source of score without restricting the run to flushes, unlike the Bussy. Well, I don't know why I put that in the script. Mime and Vampire are fine, really good, but AAA is immediately powerful and really only dies against the plant as a basis of score. I don't like relying on face cards, but at least for score, but AAA is my pick because it's immediately useful, has a lot of longevity, and come on, the temperance value at the very least has gotta be something. I gotta pick Yellow deck to find a counter for the plant and fix toward Monarchs. The reason I'm choosing Blue deck over Red deck with Faceless Joker is because you still need to actually score. Oh yeah, also about that AAA poll, I feel like it should have been less unanimous. Anyway, back to the poll. The quantity of discards increases the maximum use of this one Joker, but the extra hand is better for long-term scoring and allows sifting through cards to find 3 face cards while still scoring. Sock and Buskin isn't a bad pick because it starts as a diet chip Joker with a lot of potential, and you won't hear much hit-the-road praise from me. I'm kind of mad at Perkio right now because I couldn't find any good consumables and lost recently, but give me the Fell For It Again award because I'd still take it. This might be an odd choice, but I'm taking Zodiac deck. I know I said I'd take Magic deck earlier, but I wanted to talk more about these deck interactions. Even just selling a negative consumable is a lot of value, and Zodiac facilitates the selection between Hermit cards or, due to Perkio's sell value, Temperances, and Planet cards. Zodiac also gives a greater chance of finding Jokers for other forms of econ and score. Invisible feels too RNG dependent, especially when there are 3 stickers that might make me feel less inclined to sell the Invis. Campfire is really good, but it really only pops off in the later antes. I know this is a bit of a whataboutism, but between Supernova and Triboulet, it's one weakness, the eye for Supernova and the plant for Triboulet. At least with the plant, it only shows up in the later antes, so you're less likely to find it. Plus, Triboulet may die to the plant, but it dies in style after being a hard carry. Supernova still defines the run as a pair spam and does it well, but Triboulet is powerful from Ante 1 and well into Ante 16 even. Not that Ante 9 to 16 matter. Also yellow deck again. 2 Triboulets in a row, I won't be repetitive. Next poll. I should try taking speculative oopses more often for science, especially at its $4 price point. I really don't know how likely I am to get value out of it though. So I'll take Odd Todd with yellow deck because I know that it'll give value to the run. 3 Coughing Babies versus Hydrogen Bomb. Yellow deck to find some scoring Joker or Planet cards before I regret not taking the mediocre Jokers. These are all some decent options, though I really don't care about Flashcard or the Tribe. I've glazed Blackboard enough in this video, but I may be underestimating Hallucination. The order of finding a tarot card from Hallucination is really convenient because you can potentially use it on the hand that the Arcana pack or Spectral pack gives. It's just that Blackboard gives me a sense of mid-game safety that I can't say no to. Blackboard is awkward because the X-Mult you get in the early game isn't enough when you play small hands, but Yellow deck can take care of the early score problem. Yellow deck for a yellow fruit. Riffraff being a common baffles me. It gives you Jokers for only $6, and Invisible Joker is the only Joker I can think that has such a trait in common. Even though Riffraff only gives commons, some of the best Jokers are common. Grimbo, Squimbo, Hanging Chat, and Rebate are all some of the best plus mult, chip, effect, and econ Jokers respectively. Blue deck. The ceiling for Onyx Agate's score is really low, especially considering the flush playstyle it incentivizes. It's good early, but yellow deck renders the early rentals viable and makes finding flat mult for Ante 2 easy. Yellow deck happens to work well with Hallucination, which is my Joker of choice. Blueprint is such a flexible Joker, and even one scoring Joker in the roster could make the early game so much easier. Yellow deck to actually find a good Joker though. Hell, not even a good Joker, just any form of score at all. Even a Sleepy Space Joker is worth taking because Campfire will be largely inactive for much of the run for as good as it is, so even if you're under odds, you're going to get some levels out of your hands. Maybe I should take Campfire instead because it just is that good though. Last time I chose Spaceman, I picked it with blue deck, but I'm changing to Painted because straight scales so quickly. And the hand size buff makes such runs more viable, even without shortcut. Maybe I'm risking the luck of the draw and Spaceman actually doing enough to help in the run, but then again, Painted deck is already something I'm better at. I'm taking yellow deck to the moon with this one. Lucky Cat is nice, but it relies on finding lucky cards and then triggering them with luck, oops, or retrigger effects. I'd rather just take the early bands of cash. Campfire Redemption run time. None of the other Jokers were worth sacrificing the opportunity cost of an easy win in Ante 7 and 8. Crazy Joker relies on draw RNG, Clever is something I really only take on Plasma deck, and Delayed Gratification is a conditional $4 that's really difficult to generate early, when drawing large hands is more important. I swear I'm not a contrarian. Spare Your Trousers is really fast mult, especially on Abandoned deck. Painted deck is also good for 2-pair, but it costs a Joker slot and doesn't have insane deck fixing. Triboulet is too risky for me, even with Painted deck. Spare Trousers is hand agnostic if a good chip Joker is present in case of the Flint or if the eye shows up. Maybe I'm just undervaluing Triboulet because I don't like it from a game design perspective. I say as if I have any credentials in that department. As proof that I'm not a contrarian, I'm taking Blueprint Yellow deck again. The duo is worth my consideration, but it's not enough to give me confidence in a run. Not that it's a bad Joker at all, but it does have a little bit of Potential Man syndrome. Just can't beat Blueprints. Four Fingers isn't even good at making straights. Cavendish gives plus 12 mults on flushes and straights, so it's really good before finding better forms of score than the high base level hands. Yellow deck for a yellow fellow. Kaneo is less consistent than Yorick, but I'd still put him near parity with Tricky Rick. Yellow deck to find a means of breaking face cards. Ceremonial Dagger has really been on a generational redemption run for me. It's really fun, powerful, and it's my choice for a starting Joker, along with Yellow deck. Even Steven is fine, to-do list, I don't like the luck of the draw, and Golden Ticket's really good, but I usually am fine with keeping gold cards in hand. At this point, I have greater fondness for the Phlogistinator Scorch-Shot combo than Bloodstone. It's worthless, yet it gets so much praise. At least with the Flog Scorch-Shot, people hate it, rightfully so. I'm taking Stencil with Ghost deck. The immediate hex is good, but there's also Immolate for deck fixing and maybe a 4-of-a-kind potential for a really high base of Molten Chips. Acrobat is also a good Joker, but it really only gets into play later in the game, unlike Stencil. Look, it's obviously Kaneo. What else am I going to choose? Splash? No, next poll. Well, this was an easy decision. Granted, Ride the Bus is really good, but take everything I said about Kaneo at negative Jokers, and it's easy to understand why I'm taking this one. The deep blue background is really pretty too. Yellow deck again. I went from hating on Triboulet back to glazing it, but I don't think I have much more to add at this point. I mentioned Triboulet being risky, but that's especially so for Spacemen. And besides, you don't have to play towards face cards. You could just use it for the immediate score in the early game or mid-game. Shortcut might actually be the correct choice here. Playing Plasma deck exclusively for my streams for a while has been... it's changed my opinion on Shortcut by quite a bit. But I trust my ability to use reserve parking with blue deck to win. Mystic Summit is nice, but I need money. Next to red card, Grimbo is probably the best flat mole scaling Joker. You can spam hands to sift through cards for the blue seal while passively scoring, and the negligible cost means that discarding purple seals can be worthwhile when looking for other cards. I'm not sure why people like the trio when so few games use large hands. And even then, with how many people play flushes, the trio doesn't really work with that. I know the choices are limited, but the popularity of the trio reminds me that there are 3-of-a-kind and full house truthers, a group I will never understand. Also blue deck. Got a lot of heavy hitters here, but I'm taking Pants with Abandon deck because it's consistent and scales really quickly. Stuntman with Plasma deck looks like it would be an obvious choice until you see just how many chips you still need to win on a chips-only run. Ancient Joker is too vulnerable, and it really doesn't score well if you don't have much base score, and Golden Joker doesn't give you a run to build on. I hate to deny 3 fine Jokers, but I trust Spare Trousers the most. Oh, also another problem with Stuntman is that it kind of gets in the way of blue seals, but that's my only complaint. I prefer taking Stuntman with just about anything but Plasma deck, maybe with the exception of black deck. I'm gonna crash out if I see people choose Bloodstone again. You know, I'm just gonna do it now. Why do people like this god-forsaken Joker? It is so worthless on anything but blue stake, and even then, you just get the idol, you can do just about anything. Anyway, blue deck pair spam wins again, even if it is at the cost of reserve parking. The other two aren't worth considering on a gold stake run, for the vast majority of times. I don't really care for any of these Joker choices. Maybe the trio is the best option because 3-of-a-kind isn't bad early in the run with the trio, and it has 4-of-a-kind potential, especially on painted deck. But I'm playing it safe with a gluttonous Joker and yellow deck. I understand the hype behind Banana, but I trust Squimbo with my life. The same can't be said about Mike. The Banana breaking takes an average of 2 antes, can break at a bad time, and there's still a good chance that Cavendish just doesn't show up. Blue deck. Okay, so the tribe was another misinput, my bad.
It was a misinput, calm down! You calm the fuck down!
Matador is surprisingly good as a starting Joker. 6 of 8 ante-1 boss blinds are Matador compatible, and the low score requirement of the first ante means that a single source of score can mean milking the money for it is safe. Plus, Matador doesn't have stiff competition in this poll. Blue deck because money's already sorted out. AAA shows up yet again, and my opinion of yellow deck is unchanged. Well, I hope you all enjoyed me waffling about every single... Oh yeah, it isn't every single poll. Well, this was every single poll by the time I wrote the script and everything and got all of the screenshots, but there are more. So if this goes well, I guess I can do a sequel. 'Cause this took way too long to make, but I had fun answering all of these polls. And also yapping for however long the total recording is. Subscribe if you want more Balatro and other gaming content. I also have a lot of videos on TikTok that I don't have on YouTube. So follow me there if you would like as well.